Hi there, so if you've clicked on this video and you're wondering what we're going to be talking about today, it is how to add another camera without spending a fortune to a video switching setup so you can get multiple camera angles and good POV shots and things of that nature. So right now I'm looking into the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. And I'm going to switch over to the Sony ZV-E10, and now we're looking at the Sony ZV-E10 on the kit lens. And I've also got a future video coming up on how to improve the lens situation without spending a fortune, because we all know that Sony lenses can get quite expensive and literally out of control. And if you spent $1,000 on a Sony ZV-E10, the last thing you want to do is put a $1,500 lens on a $1,000 camera, even though that they say, well, that's a good idea and the lens makes the camera. Well, there are budget lenses that do a good job, so we'll get into that in the future. But today we're just going to be talking about a POV camera. So this would give you an angle of me looking down at something as opposed to you looking at me, which is what we refer to as the talking head camera. And this one here, I'm actually putting the face tracking on, and this way, this is the other angle, is why I've integrated the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, because as you can see, it gives a little bit of movement, which can help you in your videos as well, and it also helps me in my videos. Since I've been using this camera, I will say that my channel has gotten nothing. It has improved a lot. There's no downside to this camera. So but running it through a video switcher, this is the only channel right now that's been doing that on a consistent basis. So if you like that, subscribe to my channel, hit like button, and we're going to keep making more and exciting content. So what are we going to be talking about today as far as this POV camera and how we're going to be doing that? So in my past video, and if you look at some of them, in order to hook up the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 to a video switcher, you got to get a video switcher that's compatible, and this one's called the OSee GoStream Pro. And if you look at my videos on that, you'll see that it has a special input, and that allows for a webcam. So right now, the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 is in what they call a webcam mode. And if you wanted to hook up another one to the video switcher, you would not be able to. And the other thing too is some equipment isn't compatible with other cameras and that sort of thing, and we're going to get into that as well. So if all of this interests you, then keep watching, because you're watching Blue Collar Guy. Okay, we're back. So where am I going with all of this? Okay, so I've invested a lot of money in gear, and what I mean by a lot of money, I mean by a lot of money as far as a blue collar person is. So your budget and my budget are pretty much the same budget, unless of course you're very wealthy, and if that's the case, this is not the channel for you. So if you are on a budget and you're trying to get a YouTube channel up and running, and you want to have different camera angles, and you don't want to do a lot of video editing, well, then keep watching my channel and I'll show you how to get that done on a budget and also have some decent equipment. So it's not just about being on a budget, it's about doing it with some decent video shots. So again, I'm looking at the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. Do not have the wide angle lens on there, do not have the black mist filter, none of that stuff. You can add certain things in post and that sort of thing. So one thing I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you a little box. Okay, so we're going to scroll down to a little box that I'm going to put on the screen right now. And I'm just going to put me in the little corner. Okay, so in this little box, let me just get my little mouse working here. Oh, there we go. So this is called an Osbot UVC to HDMI adapter. And what this little box does is it takes a webcam and it converts it to an HDMI output, which means that you can hook it into a video switcher at that point. Now, the one thing that I will let you know is that it doesn't work with everything. As a matter of fact, there's only been a handful of reviews on this little box, and this little box is compatible mostly with the other webcams that go with it, and it even has a special dongle input so you can hook a remote control if you get one of those Osbot tail airs or that sort of thing. But I've got a DJI Osmo Pocket 3, and I thought to myself, if I wanted to free up some inputs, would it be compatible with this little box? In other words, could I plug the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 into here and then put it through the video switcher? Well, spoiler alert, it does not work. So if you plug the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 into this little Osbot box, thinking that you can use it through the HDMI regular port instead of through the switcher itself, it will not work. So don't waste $219 on that device if you're thinking about buying one. Now, I bought one so that you wouldn't have to, but I'm also a pretty creative person, and if something doesn't work for one application, I can usually find another application in which it will. So let's just go to the downward camera, and I'm going to bring in my little Osbot box and put myself in the corner. So this is the little box that I just showed you in the whoops, on the computer there. Sorry, I got it plugged in. This is the HDMI out. So let me just bring up, I'm going to go back to me and switch over. Hang on. This is the only issue with some of the switchers. There we go. So if you look at that, there's the price. $219. You buy two of them, you save 10%. Okay. And it has, there's your USB port. This one over here is for power. The other one is for your camera. And then it's got an HDMI 2 port. Sorry about the voice. It's been very, been working lots lately. It's got and this is the specifications. Going to zoom this up. There's the weight, 160 grams. And here's the output resolution. So it does multiple output resolution, which is good. It will work with the OSee GoStream Pro switcher because it will go to 1080p, and that's important because if you don't have a 1080p signal, it won't even work. There's the voltage rating, and the HDMI is 1.4, whatever the heck that is. Okay, and here's an example. This little camera here, that's the tail air. That's the one that can do the tracking. And this one here is the remote control, so you can set it for some presets on that, which is kind of cool. Maybe we'll play around with that in the future. But right now, we're just talking about the little box and what I'm going to be doing with it. Okay, so I mentioned that the little box didn't work with the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. However, this camera here does. This is the Osbot webcam, and it has a kind of tracking, but it's more of a digital tracking, not a physical one. And if you get the 1080p version, which is, I'm just going to circle that over. So on this one here, there's the 1080p version, $109, and the 4K version is almost $200. We don't need the 4K version because we do the upscaling before we send it to the YouTube. So I'm going to go back to me for a quick second. All right, so now some people are still confused about the difference between 4K, 1080p, 8K, all these different formats. I'm going to give you the most condensed basic version. I'm probably going to leave some stuff out, but I'm hoping that this helps you. Because if you're dealing with YouTube, You're going to need to know this. So YouTube, you can upload in 4K. However, 1080p is what most people are still watching right now, which is high definition. It's still good. A lot of cameras are 4K. People say, well, why would you get a 4K camera if you're going to upload in 1080p? Well, you still get a little bit better resolution if you're going things like cropping, meaning if you're going to zoom in on something, it doesn't look so pixelated, which is another advantage of the camera that I'm looking in right now. This is a 4K camera, but in webcam mode, it is only 1080p. But it's still got a 4K sensor. Now, if I switch over to the, I'm going to switch over to the Sony ZV-E10 right now. I'm looking into the Sony ZV-E10. It's also a 4K camera. However, right now it's set at 1080p. Why do I do this with this video switcher? You say, well, you're crazy. You've got these 4K cameras. Why the hell are you switching everything to 1080p? I'll tell you why. File size and editing. Okay, so if you're dealing with file size and editing, and you're dealing with 4K files are a lot bigger. And these advertisements for 8K cameras, stay away from those unless you really want to spend some money, because 8K files are huge. 4K is 4 times the resolution of 1080p. 8K would be 8 times the resolution of 1080p, or even 4 times the resolution of 4K. Don't quote me on that, but it's a lot, which means that your files are going to be massive. And if you want to see the difference on files between 8K and recording in 4K and recording in 1080p, I would encourage you to Google it. If I can find that information, I'll post it for you. So I'll put it on the screen somewhere where you can see it. So this is why I go with the format that I do, and then when I convert it to 4K, then I'm only dealing with a large file one time instead of several times. And that saves a lot of hassle. And it also doesn't make a big difference on the resolution. In other words, the video quality that you're looking at is still good, right? So if it looks good on TV, that's good. That's all that matters. A lot of YouTubers with experience have done this. A lot of them with very expensive equipment have done this trick. So we're going to go to the downward shot, and I'm going to show you, this is the Osbot. This is the little box that will convert a webcam into an HDMI out, which can go into a video switcher. And I just showed you the camera that I picked up, and here is the camera. And we'll back off a little bit here. So, and by the way, if you're wondering what this downward shot is, that's with a 228 Macos camera. So check out my video on that. And that little camera came from China, and people say, well, it's just a little Chinese camera. It looks fine. It's a 1080p camera. It also has an HDMI output. It goes right into this video switcher, which is right here. And it has presets, which the Sony does not have. Also, at $228, you can't beat the price. It's got a Sony sensor in it. Yes, it has a Sony sensor. Does it have an APS-C sensor? No. Do you need blurry background for a downward shot? No, you don't need blurry background for a downward shot. You want crystal clear, sharp shots. So the sensor in it is actually better than that of a camcorder. A little tiny bit bigger, not much. Okay. So, having said that, let me just get my trusty, I couldn't find my X-Acto knife, so we're going to use a steak knife today, because we have to break into this little box, and hopefully I don't cut myself in the process. So, let me just get under here and get this whole thing here. So, yeah, now, on this Osbot camera, I'm hoping, because of its size, because it's got a good, decent size, and by the way, packaging on this is very, very well done. For $100, you know, the packaging is like as if it was $200. I would imagine when this camera first came out, it was a lot more money than what it is. Okay. Okay. So we're going to owner's manual. And that is just my Alexa reminding me to take my vitamins, which I do need to do. This is the camera. Very well packaged. The owner's manual, not bad. Not bad. A lot of it's in Chinese because, a lot of people say, well, it's a little washed out. Hang on here. Let me just try to adjust it. A lot of this has to do with lighting. So, there we go. A lot of this has to do with lighting. There's QR codes. So you need to have the QR code if you're going to get into the settings on the, it's in German too, by the looks of it. Just in several languages, that's why it's so thick. All right. Okay, there's the camera. Got a 1/4 tiny mount there. There's this on the top. And it does a little trick, by the way. This camera can do a little trick where it kind of follows you around as long as you're within the frame of the lens. So, and we have another little box. Foam. They've hidden a bunch of stuff in the bottom. So what did they hide in here? Is it empty? Sometimes these things are empty. Let me just go back. Oh, it's got a little bag. Little Osbot bag. So I guess if you want to take your Osbot around and you want to show it to people or you want to take it on a trip with you, you can. Not that I'll ever do that, but I have an Osbot bag. And I will probably repurpose that for something else. Okay. Cables. Cables are good. Cables can add to a lot of expense if you don't have cables. Okay. So, we have sorry about that. Okay. So, this is the part that I always dread. USB-C. USB-C. Cord is about 4 feet long. What's this little guy? This little guy is probably the lens cap because it comes with a built-in lens cap. And it also comes with a USB-C to USB-A adapter. And I don't need it for this application, if I can get into this little bag here. However, I could use it for some of my other stuff. I will repurpose that. What is this little thing? This is the clip, the stand. Okay. So it's got a magnetic clip and a stand. And interesting. So we will deal with that. So I've got some garbage to deal with. But I do like the 1/4 20 mount on the bottom. And I do like this little cap here. Take that off. Set that there. And this is just press fit. So if you want to put that on there, just push that on there. Might as well put it on straight while we're at it. And there you go. You just close that, open it. Loving it. This little guy here. Now, to my understanding, there is something, there we go, magnetic. Aha! So the camera itself is also magnetic. I'm just going to test it out to see if it doesn't sit there, but does this, that sits there. Okay, so we're going to plug that in to this and see if we can get a signal out of this thing. Oops. And there is the jack. So you only need to have one jack, so you don't need to have a separate power supply. That's kind of cool. And we're going to plug, we got to make sure that you plug it into the proper side. You'll fry things out. So take your time. And we will plug this into there. And we'll plug this into there. And this thing should just boot up. If I've done everything right. I do see the Osbot symbol on there on HDMI 4. And we're just going to put me in the corner. So there's the Osbot symbol. As you can see, it's booting up. I did all of this on the fly, which is another reason why I like to have the video switcher. And right now it is looking at the webcam. I see things, there's a light coming on the webcam and it's blinking, so it's communicating with the box. Oh, and there we go. All right, don't I look handsome today? All right, so we're looking into the camera right now. And why did I get this $100 camera? Because some people say, well, you spent $219 on that little box, you know, but if you add them together, that's only $319, which isn't a lot of money when you're looking at 4K cameras and 1080p cameras and, you know, can you get the resolution? It's got some interesting things with it. Now, remember how I said it's got that magnetic mount? And then you can take this little guy and you can clip it there. Look at that. I've got it so I'm kind of like sit there. Okay. Now if I double click the top part, it's supposed to do this kind of thing where it moves around and keeps me in frame. Let's see if it does that. Let's see if I... Okay. Okay. I'm just gonna move back. If I go there, okay. This is how the auto framing works. And I'm just gonna move over here. If I go back, there we go. So the auto framing is obviously limited in what it can do, but if the green light is on, the auto framing is on. And I'm just gonna show you, okay. Now, can you do the auto framing if the background is blurry? And I don't think you can. No. I think that if you want to have the blurry background, yeah, the blurry background is going to be definitely an option. And it doesn't work very good on inanimate objects, so if you wanted to focus on something like this, see, it's just going to be blurry. It's mainly designed for faces only. I don't really like how the blurry background works in here, but if you needed privacy, it does work. And if you just click it once, then you have the auto framing. There you go. But it is a little bit of a delay there. And it side to side, you know, but it's interesting. Definitely interesting. So that's the auto framing, and that's it for the auto framing. Okay, let's try 3. Oh, we've got blue now. There we go. Okay, so if I go triple click, there's the blurry background, which is kind of interesting. I kind of like that. And then if I go like this, so the light will change to blue. Blue is for blurry background. Okay, so that's interesting there. And then that's normal mode. And then, and you have to forgive the, oh, that's blurry background again. Okay, and let's just do a long press and see what we've got. Oh, that shut it off. So this is an interesting little camera. It does all kinds of things, and yeah, it's not, you know, it's not that big. You know, this is the stand, and like I said, it's magnetic. So if you've got something magnetic you want to mount this to, and here's the other thing too. This is the other reason why I got it, because let's say have a POV on this remote. Okay, so let's say I wanted to do that. So let's go over to there. So here's the remote control, and I've got it, you know, so I want to get a different angle for your, so here's the video switcher, for instance. And there's an interesting angles you can get with this camera because it is so small. It is just so incredibly small and flexible. I can wear it on me. So there's my setup with the multi-camera. If I turn this one here on, you're going to see this one boot up. I have a Field World monitor, and this is just for what the audience sees. And as you can see, I got histograms, all kinds of things to see if my lighting is good. And then this is the downward shot camera. This is the Makos camera. There's the light that I've got, and here is the camera that I have over here, the Sony ZV-E10. And I've got this whole mess of wires. Oh, it's crazy. I'm going to straighten this out. And then I've got the USB charger that the power brick thing that I got. I did a video on that, so check out that video. And back to me. But this whole blurry background thing, where if you, let's say you got a big, you know, you're having a bad laundry day, and then you want to blur that, you can go like, let me see if I can get that going again. Okay, that's white, and we should be able to get into blue. There we go. Okay, so there's the blurry background. This is kind of cool. $100 blurry background. Do you know how much money you'd have to spend for a lens to get that blurry background? And I know that it's not perfect, but still, you'd have to, you know, to get a background that blurry, you're looking at an $800 lens. Seriously, it's, you know, the cheapest ones I think are $300, but they don't have autofocus. This has autofocus. However, it does cause a bit of issue with latency, so look at that as part of a problem. Okay, so now it's going to click over to the, so there's less latency on this. I do like the color on this a lot better. And I also don't mind if you look at the nice little things that I got back there. I got the on air, the follow me sign, and you know, I'm just going to put it on the magnetic mount. Okay, so now we're just looking at it, and yeah, it's kind of cool. $100. So let's just go back to the, this is everything that it comes with, and you know, it will do, let me see if I can get the video. There's the video on it. There's it's called the Osbot Meet, and it's got capture support. It's got privacy, so you can, okay, that's the blurry background they call it. So you can replace the background to whatever you want as well. The auto framing, close-up mode, and then it's got single mode. So it's this is what I mean by the auto frame, where it keeps things in frame. It's got HDR. Okay, so these are some settings that I have to go in. The autofocus is really good, and yeah, you can do single person meetings. You've got your, yeah, I think it's and I'll put a link to on Amazon on the Osbot Meet, so that you can check that out for yourself. And yeah, Now, I didn't have the audio on there because I'm not too sure about copyright. And I don't even know, I'm sure they don't mind me advertising their device for them, that's for sure. But just to let you know, I am not paid for this. They did not send this to me for free. And I buy all my own stuff myself. And I am going to be using this for, like I said, those different camera angles. So I'm going to go back to it and show you that it is absolutely, and yeah, it's got so many, this little stand, I gotta tell you, this little stand that it comes with, and I'm gonna just take it off there just to show you, because this is one of the uses for it. So if you just want to hold a camera in your hand and get up close to things, this little stand has got these interesting little clips so you can grab onto things. Okay, I really like that. And like I said, this part here is magnetic, and yeah, it's very, very flexible. Very flexible indeed. Let me just go to the downward shot camera. So this is the downward shot camera. Now I'm going to go back to the sideways shot camera. So look, you got a little different perspective, and it's very, very flexible. I'm just trying to see all the different things you can really do with it. So you can hook it onto things. If you want to hook it onto a monitor, you can. It folds up very compact on there. So it folds up very well. Yeah, interesting. I really like that. Very, very cool. And you know, here's the camera. You know, there's the magnetic. Oh, it just sticks to it. The camera itself, by the way, is not magnetic. So if I go to stick it on something else that's magnetic, it does not work. And oh, it also does vertical. How about that? So I'm going to show you something. I'm going to go back to the camera. Okay, so if I go like this, it goes to vertical mode. Wow, how about that? So here's vertical mode, and here's horizontal mode. You wouldn't be able to do that on the fly with any other camera, huh? Try that with another camera and then try to upload that to YouTube, right? Wow, that is something. You wouldn't be able to do that, so sorry about the scruff. And it's got microphones built into it. I would not trust the microphones built into it. Use a DJI Mic 2 mic. And I did lots of reviews on those, and some people have said they've had issues with them and problems with them. Well, I've explained that and why that's happening. And here is a good shot of the Osmo Pocket 3 and how it is connected onto the, yeah, there we go. It's connected onto the, all right, mess of wires. And yeah, all connected into the back of the box. I know that looks complicated. That looks like a real spaghetti mess, but we're going to fix that. We are going to fix that. We're going to tidy everything up, but before you can tidy things up, you need to see if they work first. That is the kicker. And again, there's the close-up of the Sony ZV-E10, and yeah, I think it's going to work. I'm going to use this to get different angles, on sideways angles. It is perfect for that. Absolutely perfect. And if you want a little privacy, you can move your little cover down, of course, and you can move it up, so not digital. Very fast autofocus too, by the way. Let me just see. How close can we get in? I'd say this is about 2 inches away from the lens, just so you know. The size of the lens in this is not as big. And let me just go back to the, I'm going to go back into the Sony. Here's the Sony. Okay, so we're looking into the Sony ZV-E10. Take myself off the corner. Okay, so the lens in this is not, like the sensor in it, I should say, is not as big as probably the downward shot camera that I got. However, the processor in it is very decent. Like, as you could see, it can do a lot. They've got quite the processor in there and a lot of built-in functions. I really like it. So this is the Osbot Meet, and I'm going to go back to, let me just go back to this camera here. So this is the Osbot Meet. And I think that I did not even need, because I didn't want to buy the Tail Air or the, what do you call it, the Tiny 2. And the reason why I didn't buy it, because I don't need it. It would actually hurt me, because if you go to manipulate a gimbal camera around like that, you have to put it in special settings and things. And I already have a camera that can follow me around. So yeah, this one here can do it in frame. But let's face it, you know, the DJI is the best for that. You know, I got a 1-inch sensor on this camera, and if you want to look at the comparison, I'm going to hold this one up to the other one, and I'm just going to queue up the other one. So now we're going to go, and this is the, so now I've got them at the same height. We're looking at the, there's me on the DJI. Okay, so the DJI is in the corner, and here is me on the other one, on the Osbot Meet. So that'll give you an idea on the lens. So I'm moving it around. I'm just hand holding it right now. There's a little bit of a delay when I move, but not too bad on the stabilization. Look at all the junk I got on the bed there from all the boxes. So, you know, if I move around, I can sort of give you a perspective, and I'm going to switch back and forth. There's me on the DJI. Here's me on the Osbot Meet. Here's me on the DJI. Here's me on the Osbot Meet. Okay, there's a difference in camera quality. Now let's go to a bigger sensor and compare it with the Sony ZV-E10. So I'm going to queue up the Sony ZV-E10. I'm going to hold it over by the Sony ZV-E10. Here's me on the Osbot Meet. And whoops, wrong camera. And here's me on the Sony ZV-E10. And here's me on the Osbot Meet. And here's me on the Osbot 10. And if you look at the picture-in-picture, that is the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. So I've got 3 cameras kind of running at the same time. Here's me on the one, here's me on the other, here's me on the Osbot Meet, here's me on the Sony ZV-E10. So take a look at, if you can read the on air, and there is the on air, so a little bit more blurry because of the lens, and we're going to go back and forth. So kind of cool. Let me just queue up the, okay. So, you know, it gets a little bit warm to touch after a while because it is a little webcam, but so cool. And the cord isn't bad. It's got some length to it. And, you know, I've got it tangled up a little bit here. Oh my God. Okay, so the cord is fairly long. I'm going to do some creative things with this. This is a good little camera. I am so happy that I got this. So is this worth the $100 plus the other one? I don't think you need the 4K one. I really don't think you need it. And you know, this one does plenty for me. And it is solid camera, by the way. This is not plastic. This is metal construction. And it's got the 1/4 thread. So I can stick it on like a little tripod if I want. I don't even really need a little tripod. I've got this little stand that came with it, and that was all for $100. So, you know, you can do all kinds of, yeah, it's got, I love it. I love it, you know, like this is the, and I'm going to switch back over to it right now. there is the up the nose shot. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's great. Okay, so I guess I've drained on this video long enough. So this is it for this video, and if you like this little camera and you're thinking of adding it to your little studio setup system, and you like what I've done with mine, opposed to the wires, of course, the wires need to be labeled and they got to be managed. I've just been adding and adding things, and there's no point in doing the tidying up until after you've got everything where you want it. And once you've got everything where you want it and you think that's where it's going to live, then by all means, that's where you know, so. And I don't have to do a lot of editing because I can switch back and forth between this camera and this camera and this camera and the computer, and I can add on to back to this camera and back to the Sony camera. So, but you do have to remember where you gotta look, because I've made that mistake before too, where I've looked in the wrong spot. So, and you know, you've got your picture-in-picture, and I can move it up there. Look, I've got the computer up in the corner, I've got it over there, I got it over here, I got it there. I can switch it to the downward shot. So if you're liking what you're saying, you can get all of this gear, you know, for probably, you know, I'm just going to ballpark it. I'm just going to ballpark it. You could probably get all of this gear that I've shown you here. And I've got another video on the Google Pixel tablet, because that's what I use for the computer, because it is compatible with the phone. And I also do my editing on CapCut. So if you're wondering how I'm doing the editing and the up conversion, I'm using CapCut for that. So yeah, so that's it. Take care, be safe at work, and I will see you at the next video. This was a very exciting video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did making it. So bye.